Hey guys, Hans Wormhat. This is a video on why gravity makes no sense. So, part one, most people just don't even understand what gravity is. And when you tell them that you don't believe in gravity, they're like, what? So, you don't even think that things fall to the ground? That's where their brain goes. So, the very first step to understanding that gravity makes no sense is that you have to actually understand what gravity is. And most people don't even make it to that step. People think that gravity is the fact that things fall down, which is just not true. That's not what gravity is. So, gravity is the unproven theory that mass attracts other mass. If you can ingrain that into your brain, you're step one on your way to understanding that gravity's bullcrap. So, this has never been proven unless you believe the bonehead scientists. We'll look at the Cavendish experiment later. So, science should be able to be proven independently. You and I should be able to prove gravity. This is 2017. Why can't you and I prove gravity? We can't because it's probably made up bullcrap. Okay, so let's go to the apple falling to the ground. And apple was an interesting choice of fruit. So why does an apple fall to the ground? So this is NASA's answer. Is it because the mass of the Earth is attracting the mass of the apple? And actually, it goes both ways. So not only is the mass of the Earth attracting the mass of the apple, but the mass of the apple is attracting the mass of the Earth. And that is why the apple falls to the well, so you don't even want to say it like that. Gravity is the theory that mass attracts mass. So do you think that's why the apple falls to the ground? Because the mass of the Earth and the mass of the apple are attracting one another? That doesn't make any sense. Or can the phenomena of the apple falling be described by already understood concepts? Density and buoyancy, that's it. Gravity is made up. We don't need it. They need it. They need gravity for their fake space bullcrap. We don't need it because it's just not even true. It doesn't exist. It's not real. So here's the explanation. Why does the apple fall? And I always knew this. This is something the apple experiment never ever clicked to me because it doesn't make any sense. Because this. Why does the apple fall? Well, the apple falls because it's no longer supported by the tree and the apple is more dense than the air around it. You don't need to invent up gravity. The apple falls because it's more dense than the air and it's no longer supported by the tree, so of course it's going to fall. We already understand this. It's density and buoyancy. So this is philosophically, this is an application of Occam's razor. We already know why the apple falls. We already know it's density and buoyancy. So you don't need to come in and invent this concept of gravity to explain. You're creating something to explain something that we already had an explanation for. Does that make sense? We already know why the apple falls, so there's no reason to come up with gravity to explain why the apple falls. You're just building new things that weren't even necessary. So why do they do that? It's to deceive. Gravity is a mysterious force that they need this. They need gravity. All right, so part two, why is gravity just bullcrap? Well, for some reason, people think that having an answer for something, even if it's wrong, they think it's better than just saying I don't know. And that's a huge issue. So people are inevitably they're going to bring up in a vacuum whenever you talk about gravity. They'll bring up, well, in a vacuum, a feather and lead fall at the same rate. Therefore, gravity. That's not a good argument. It isn't. So what they're describing is just a property of the place where we are, Earth, of the place that the Creator made. If you're in a near vacuum environment, two objects are going to fall at the same exact rate. I mean, it makes sense because there's no air resistance. Why would they fall at different rates in a vacuum? There's no air resistance. What about things falling at the same rate have to do with the mass of the Earth attracting the mass of objects? It has nothing to do with it. That's the point. The fact that two objects will fall at the same rate in a vacuum, that doesn't prove anything about gravity. That has nothing to do with gravity. It's the way this place works. It's physics. That's physics, sure, but it doesn't prove gravity. So you need to understand that because people always bring this up, and it's like that doesn't prove gravity at all. You need to show that mass attracts mass. So Do I know why there appears to be a constant rate of falling down in a near vacuum environment? No, I don't. Does that mean that gravity is true? No. It does just because we don't have a reason or an explanation for why things fall down, why does that mean that gravity has to be true? That that just doesn't make sense. That's just not logical. Not having the answer doesn't mean that gravity has to be true. If you're gonna prove gravity, you need to prove that mass attracts mass. And then right here, just like I don't know why the ratio of the circumference of a circle to its diameter is always a constant, pi, 3.14. So, do we know why pi is 3.14? No. I mean, that's just what it is. Same thing. Do we know why things fall with the same acceleration? No. I don't think we do. It's just the way that this place is. It's the way the creator made this place. If it wasn't made like this, it probably wouldn't work out nice. It's probably just the way it has to be if it's going to work out. That's how smart the creator is. He knows exactly how to do everything. But I think that I have a better reason than NASA. So, right, NASA, and gosh, I see so many trannies in public wearing NASA shirts. I seriously just want to slap them. Anyways, so NASA will tell you that the reason that objects fall is because the Earth, the mass of the Earth, well, so general relativity is bending space-time, right? This is their explanation. Is bending space-time, and that's what causes things. That's what causes things to fall. Is the fact that Earth is so massive that it's bending space-time, and that's why objects fall. That is so dumb. It's just really stupid. Why would you believe that? That's just sci-fi. That's not real. The Earth is flat. The Earth doesn't move. Gravity just is fake. Is also something that follows from this. So I don't know. I think it's just up down. Why do objects? I think that God created the creator, the Heavenly Father, I think made an up and a down. And buoyancy is just a thing. If you're more dense, you go down. If you're less dense, you go up. And that's just the way this place works. I don't know that there's a why to that. But it's not because of bending space-time. That's sci-fi. So just because gravity believers made up a reason, just because you have a reason doesn't make a reason true. Do any of those people really believe that the mass of the Earth is causing this? To me, that just how can anyone really believe that? It's just crazy for me. Like where's the evidence of that? Okay, so really the nail in the coffin of gravity is just how inconsistent it is. The deceivers love it because gravity can fix any situation, big or small. I don't think people understand how easy it is to lie. It is so easy to just make up a lie. It's really easy to make up a lie. These deceivers can make up whatever they want, slap the name Satan Ford or MIT on it, and the sheeple will just eat it up without question. It doesn't even matter if they're right. I mean, they're wrong. They're always lies. And then a couple years later, we'll get new theories, and we just always forgive them. It's like we take their word as like perfect in the moment, but then at the same time, we give them leniency to always change things and be like, well, that's just the way science works. No, the Bible has had the correct answers the whole time. So how about that? How about the Bible said that the Earth was flat this whole time, and scientists just keep making crap up all over the place? So, I don't know. Just people don't understand how easy it is to lie and slap your institution's name on it. That takes no effort. Okay, so from Wikipedia, gravity is the weakest of the four fundamental forces. It's a truth in plain sight. It's the weakest because it's not even real. It's not true. So as a consequence, it has no significant influence at the level of subatomic particles. I would say that gravity doesn't even have any influence at the level of just life as we see it. Everything that we see can be totally explained with buoyancy and density. We don't need gravity. At no point in the human existence do we ever feel the mass of the Earth bending space-time, and right? We don't feel that. We don't sense that. But buoyancy and density is something that we can see and something that we can actually understand. So this is the weakest force ever. Gravity, it's the most weak force by large margins. And yet, they love this duality thing. And yet, this force is the one that shapes the universe. And I hate the word universe. It's so made up. There is no universe. This place was created for us by the Heavenly Father. That's it. The whole concept of the universe is super satanic. That the Earth is nothing and it's just a speck upon billions of specks. That is satanic. This place was very specifically made for us, regular humans, not these creatures, and they get us to think the complete opposite. And we have the duality here with gravity. Gravity is the weakest of the forces, and yet it's somehow the one that makes the macro, the universe level. And again, how convenient that gravity is only really the big player on scales that regular humans can never observe themselves. We have to put our faith in NASA. Fuck NASA. So here's just a thought. The outer atmosphere doesn't make any sense with gravity. Gravity is apparently strong enough to keep a tiny little atom of our outer atmosphere attached to the Earth rather than just escaping off into the vacuum of space. They try to ingrain into our brain fake ideas like an ozone layer, like a shell, or the gravitational, shield around. They try to sell us that we have like a shield around us, but if you really think of just gravity, so gravity is supposed to be holding on to these tiny, tiny particles that are really far away. How does that make any sense? The second that this particle has a bounce and goes in the opposite direction, what's stopping it from just flying in that opposite direction forever? The gravity on this particle should be tiny. So a collision that makes it go in the opposite direction should just go off in the opposite direction forever through space. And remember, the Earth is hurling through the solar system. The solar system is hurling through the galaxy, and the galaxy is hurling through the universe, allegedly. These creatures want us to think. So these things are all flying through 3 dimensions, and yet this tiny little particle is being stuck to gravity. Gravity, you are so strong. You are just holding on to all these outermost particles, and you're just gripping onto them as we're flying through space. Even on these far away tiny particles, gravity, you're gripping onto it so hard as we're flying through space. But also, gravity is so weak that buoyancy will keep an aircraft carrier above water. An aircraft carrier has enormous mass. Why isn't the mass of the Earth and the mass of an enormous aircraft carrier attracting one another? Like, why doesn't why is buoyancy so strong? Buoyancy is so strong that it keeps aircraft carriers above water. If gravity was what it was, gravity would just pull everything through water. Buoyancy wouldn't be so strong if gravity actually existed. I think that's the main point. That you can tell that gravity doesn't even exist because the only force at play is buoyancy. So if you take a plastic balloon, it's pretty heavy, but all you have to do is fill it with helium and zoom, your balloon is, it's not like it's slowly like, oh, filling it with helium and we counteract the force of gravity. No, you fill a balloon with helium and that thing is flying off. Gravity doesn't exist. Buoyancy is the only thing. By the time you make that balloon more buoyant than the air around it, it's flying up. That's just the way it is. Gravity's so weak we can easily walk upright every day. We can jump around. We can climb stuff. Right? Birds can just soar easily through the air. So it's very easy to counteract gravity. It's because it just doesn't exist. Gravity's bullshit. It doesn't exist. Once you can internalize that gravity is the made-up idea that mass attracts other mass, it becomes very clear. There's no proof that mass attracts other mass. It's never been shown. It's never been proven. Ever, never, ever. When in your life have you seen mass attract other mass? When you like go and look at an elephant, is a bunch of stuff like stuck to the elephant like a magnet because the mass of the elephant, right? If gravity worked like that, that's what it would be. It would be something like that. You would be able to see masses attracting to other masses, but there's no evidence of this. So leave a comment, but I'm going to look at some other things in a second. So gravity, just like the ball Earth, it's something that they ingrain into us, and it's mostly through mocking. The only reason that people believe in gravity is because they don't want to be thought of as somebody that doesn't believe in gravity. The only reason that people believe in the ball Earth is because they don't want to be thought of as somebody that doesn't believe in the ball Earth. Period. Just because there's no evidence for any of it. It's because they're just naive and they don't want to be mocked. But we're stronger than that. We don't care. Once you wake up, you don't care. You just don't care what other people think of you because you most want the truth. You don't care what people think of you, so it allows you to escape that mocking. It's like you're the idiot that thinks that you live on a spinning ball. It flips around is the funny part. So here you'll see something directed by Kubrick, probably. Just fake NASA crap, really annoying. One of the people, so I'll just show you a Mason, a huge proponent of gravity, Galileo Galilei, something I've been pointing out recently. They love the idea of just repeating a name. Like, this person's first name is literally one letter away from the last name. Real people don't do that. It's weird Masonic crap. It's these deceivers, they do that. Oh, look, died when he, probably a tranny, died at 77. What do you know? So lastly, here's the experiment that allegedly proves gravity. They're just obsessed with balls. It's just all about the balls. This is just an experiment with balls. They want to talk about big balls and little balls. So right, if you're gonna prove that mass attracts mass, you have to do something kind of like this. Well, look, you can go look into this if you want. This apparently is the 1700, almost 1800 experiment that quote unquote proves gravity. You have big balls and you have little balls and you have all these wires and pulleys, and just look at it. It's probably like a weird Masonic. I don't know. I just think they're obsessed with balls. So I'm not going to talk about it too much, but right, this mass should attract this mass, and that's what you're supposed to be measuring with this experiment. So but what about wind currents? Oh, okay, well, it's built in a shed. Don't worry. This guy built this in some sort of janky wooden shed. Okay, so he took care of that. Do you know how he measured whether the ball was moving or not? By looking through slots in the shed using a telescope. What? How do people believe the accuracy of the results of an experiment like this? Some scientists build some janky shed with balls and pulleys, and all we get is this diagram, and he's supposedly reading measurements by using a telescope, looking through the do you see how ludicrous this is? How can anyone believe the authenticity of an experiment like this? And where are people these days performing a similar experiment but showing us that it works but doing it less janky? They don't do that. It's just now they're going to use NASA crap to prove gravity. Why isn't anyone doing a really good this experiment these days? Well, because it doesn't do anything. Because it's a hoax. All right, so I'll just end with that. You can go look it up if you want, the Cavendish experiment. They're just obsessed with balls. That's what this is about.